In this and second episode on Tahafut al-Falasifa, we'll explore Al-Ghazali's critiques of the philosophers, focusing particularly on his criticism of Al-Farabi and Avicenna, the leading proponents of Aristotelian philosophy and Islamic thought. Here we'll explore how Al-Ghazali's meticulous examination of their ideas shed light on the philosophical and theological debates of his time, offering profound insights into the intellectual landscape of medieval Islam. In Tahafut al-Falasifa, or the Incoherence of the Philosophers, Al-Ghazali critiques Al-Farabi and Avicenna or Ibn Sina as the foremost Islamic proponents of the Aristotelian philosophy. While both were Aristotelian, they were also Neoplatonists with distinct emanative schemes. Despite differences in their ideas and emanation, the soul, epistemology, and eschatology, there are overlaps, leading many of Al-Ghazali's criticism to apply to both. Al-Ghazali's primary focus is on Avicenna's or Ibn Sina's philosophy. In Tahafut al-Falasifa, or the Incoherence of the Philosophers, Al-Ghazali criticizes specific aspects of the Avicennian or Avicenna's philosophy, such as his triadic emanative schemes, his theory that God knows only universal or particulars in a universal way, and his concept of an immaterial soul that denies bodily resurrection. These criticisms are distinct from the ideas of Al-Farabi, another philosopher he critiques. The book is divided into two major parts. The first deals with the metaphysical questions, while the second covers the natural sciences. In the metaphysical sections, Al-Ghazali condemns the theories of a pre-eternal world and God's limited knowledge to universal characteristics of particulars. In the natural sciences sections, he specifically critiques Avicenna's or Ibn Sina's psychology and also discusses the causality. The longest debate in the book is about the theory of worlds pre-eternity, which touches on the nature of the divine causality. Philosophers argue that the world is the necessitated effect of an eternally necessitating cause and therefore must be eternal. Al-Ghazali counters by emphasizing that this denies the divine attribute of will, and he asserts that instead that the world and time were created together at a finite moment in the past through the choice of an eternal divine will. In the 13th discussion of the Tahafut al-Falasifa, or the Incoherence of the Philosophers, Al-Ghazali critiques Ibn Sina or Avicenna's theory that the God knows particulars only in an universal way. Avicenna distinguishes between celestial and terrestrial particulars, with celestial particulars being unique members of their species like the sun. However, Al-Ghazali focuses on terrestrial particulars such as the individual humans and their actions, arguing that Ibn Sina's system cannot account for God knowing these particulars individually, which contradicts Quranic teachings on the divine omniscience. Similarly, regarding Ibn Sina's or Avicenna's denial of the bodily resurrection based on the immateriality of the soul, Al-Ghazali argues that even if one accepts the soul as immaterial, bodily resurrection is still possible. He asserts that the Quranic language affirming bodily resurrection must be taken literally unless shown to be impossible. Al-Ghazali's argument throughout the Tahafut al-Falasifa is based on the criterion that scriptural assertion must be accepted literally unless they are proven impossible, or a principle that underpins his entire critique. Al-Ghazali provides a religious preface and for short introduction in the Tahafut al-Falasifa to explain his purpose. He criticizes pseudo-intellectuals of his time who, impressed by the names like Socrates and Aristotle, imitate these philosophers without understanding their ideas. These individuals use philosophy to justify their disregard for the religious obligations, leading to unbelief. Al-Ghazali aims to show the incoherence and the contradictions in the philosophers' beliefs, emphasizing that all significant thinkers, past and present, believe in God and the last day. While he initially downplays his differences with the philosophers as minor, he condemns three of the doctrines as the irreligious, stating that that the supporters should be punished by death. This highlights the fundamental disagreement he has with these philosophers, contrary to what some might believe. In his introduction, Al-Ghazali makes a few key points. He argues not against all of the philosophers' ideas, but only those that go against the religion. He's not trying to defend any specific religion beliefs, but is using arguments from various Islamic theological schools to refute the philosophers. He aims to show that the philosophers haven't proven their theories that contradict the religious principles. Al-Ghazali clarifies that his book, The Incoherence of the Philosopher, is solely about refuting, not defending any particular doctrine. He plans to write another book, The Principles of Belief, to affirm the true doctrine once he completes this one. In his response to Al-Ghazali averroes, or the Ibn Rushd often labels as Al-Ghazali's argument as Ash'arite, which is theological approach. Al-Ghazali indeed often argues from this perspective, aiming to refute the philosophical ideas. However, he doesn't construct a full theological system in his work, The Incoherence of the Philosophers. Al-Ghazali also defends non-Ash'arite position in his work, mainly for the purpose of argumentation against the philosophers. Al-Ghazali planned a sequel to The Incoherence called The Principles of Belief, although this title is typically associated with the Ash'arite works and other of his works. The just balance in the belief and practice aligns more closely with the themes of the Incoherence, and this work directly references the Incoherence and delves deeper into the topics. In the just balance, Al-Ghazali focuses on the principles of the belief, affirming his stance, unlike in the Incoherence of the Philosophers, where he primarily aimed to refute. Al-Ghazali clarifies that while he won't extensively argue for the temporal origin of the world in the Principles of the Belief, he plans to do so in another book. The discussion of the world's origin is more detailed in the Just Balance, making it a true sequel to the Incoherence of the Philosopher. Al-Ghazali's defense of the non-Ash'arite position is evident in his discussions on causality and the immateriality of the soul. In Tahafut al-Falasifa, he generally supports the Ash'arite view that all causal action is from God. However, in the 17th discussion, he presents two different causal theories. He first defended the Ash'arites' way of stating that the connection between a cause and its effect is not necessary, but rather a result of God's decree. He argues that observation only shows concomitance, not necessarily causation. In response to the objection raised against his view, particularly regarding the possibility of the miracle, Al-Ghazali proposes another causal theory. He suggests that God has a regular natural pattern which is not necessary but inevitable due to the God's decree. Humans perceive this pattern as uniform and expect it to continue unless interrupted by a miracle also decreed by God. Al-Ghazali dismisses the objections against denying causal necessity as baseless, suggesting that they are mere attempts to vilify his position. To avoid such vilification, Al-Ghazali presents a second causal theory that accommodates the possibility of miracles, which the philosopher rejects as impossible. Al-Ghazali presents a modified Aristotelian theory as a second possible causal explanations, allowing for the possibility of miracles. In this theory, created things possesses the causal efficacy, but the divine interventions can alter the natural order to produce the miracles. However, in his later work, The Just Balance, he unequivocally affirms that Ash'arites view that divine power is the direct cause of all existence and events, denying any inherent causal power in the created things. This refutes the modified Aristotelian theory proposed in the Incoherence of the Philosophers, indicating that it was introduced for argumentative purpose rather than as the belief he held. Regarding the immateriality of the human soul, Al-Ghazali refutes Avicenna's or Ibn Sina's proof for its immateriality in the Incoherence of the Philosopher. Yet, in the Just Balance, his book, The Just Balance, he defends the Ash'arites' doctrine of the material soul. He acknowledges in the Just Balance that his defense of an immaterial soul in the Incoherence of the Philosopher was for argumentative purpose, aiming to refute Ibn Sina's position. And this illustrates Al-Ghazali's strategy of defending position he doesn't personally hold in order to counter philosophical arguments. In both cases, Al-Ghazali's primary aim remains refutations, consistent with his declaration that the Incoherence of the Philosopher is intended primarily as a critique of the philosophical ideas rather than exposition of his own beliefs. And here, as we conclude our journey through the Incoherence of the Philosophers, we witness Al-Ghazali's meticulous dismantling of the philosophical doctrines of his time, particularly those of Al-Farabi and Ibn Sina. Through his incisive critique, Al-Ghazali not only challenges the philosophical underpinnings of his era, but also offers profound insights into the intricate interplay between reason and revelation in the Islamic thought. So, join us in our future discussions that will explore further the enduring legacy of Al-Ghazali's intellectual contributions and their resonance in the contemporary discourses. Thanks for watching.